Your shadow is still in control. Until you do this. Chapter 1. The illusion that runs your life and laughs about it. Listen carefully, because this part stings. There is a version of you still running the show, and it's not the enlightened, ascending, I drink matcha and heal my lineage version you post about. It's the primitive one. The one built from fear, habit, and whatever emotional leftovers your childhood left fermenting inside your nervous system. Quantum physics has a nicer term for this mess. Collapsed patterns. Hermetic philosophy calls it the principle of mentalism. Psychology calls it the unconscious. But let's drop the academic tone. It's the outdated you, the one that refuses to die with dignity. This hidden self is not evil. It's not possessed. It's just stubborn, like a Windows 95 program still running inside a supercomputer. And every day, it quietly convinces you that you are making choices, when really, you're just recycling old electrical signals inside the brain and calling it personality. So the illusion is simple. You think you're conscious. You think you're choosing. But most days, you're just performing an outdated script your nervous system memorized before you even had teeth. Now, let's expose the mechanism. The science behind your self-sabotage. Your brain is an energy-saving machine. It likes patterns. Patterns equals predictable. Predictable equals safe. Safe equals survival. That's why the subconscious loves dysfunction. It's familiar. It feels like home. Which is why the universe keeps giving you the same test until you finally grow a backbone and pass it. Quantum mechanics calls this coherence collapse. The observer sees the same reality because the observer refuses to become a different observer. Translation. You keep reliving the same story because you keep being the same character. And here's the cosmic joke. Your shadow already knows this. It sits there like, go ahead, sweetheart, meditate, script, affirm. I'll still meet you at the same toxic pattern tomorrow morning. Charming. The part you avoid is the part that controls you. The Hermetic principle of correspondence states, as within, so without, which means your outer life is just a humiliating slideshow of your inner contradictions. That insecurity you hide, it chooses your relationships. That fear you deny, it shapes your opportunities. That anger you swallow, it leaks through your decisions like emotional radiation. People don't realize how much of their life is simply their shadow puppeteering them from backstage while whispering, call it destiny so you don't ask questions. Lovely. Recognition is the first revolt. The first step is not healing, not love, not forgiveness. The first step is seeing the illusion, seeing the programming, seeing the version of you that refuses to grow up. Ask yourself, why do I repeat the same emotional cycles? Why do I attract the same type of people? Why do I sabotage myself right before progress? Why do I avoid the things I claim I want? Not with judgment, with awareness. Judgment belongs to the ego. Awareness belongs to the self. Awareness collapses the quantum field. Awareness breaks the mental spell. Awareness is the first time the universe says, finally, someone turned the lights on. Directive. Watch yourself without mercy. For the next 24 hours, do nothing except observe. Observe how you react when ignored. Observe how you behave when praised. Observe what happens inside your chest when someone asks you to risk, change, choose, commit. Your reactions will tell you more than your beliefs ever could. This is the beginning of self-liberation, not through force, through seeing. Invitation. Step into the witness. As you observe, something subtle happens. You shift from being the pattern to watching the pattern. That single shift is the doorway to consciousness. So tonight, sit for 1 minute and ask yourself, if I am not the old version, who is watching it? Whoever appears in that silence is the beginning of your transformation. Chapter 2. The ego death you keep avoiding, but it's coming anyway. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Recognizing your illusions is cute, but it doesn't change a thing without the next step. Ego death. The psychological funeral your old self has been dodging for years. And don't worry, ego death isn't as glamorous as spiritual influencers make it look. It feels less like enlightenment and more like watching your favorite mask melt off while you whisper, "Wait, no, put it back. I wasn't ready." But too late. Once you see your shadow, the universe schedules demolition. The principle of destruction before creation. Hermetic wisdom states, all transformation requires dissolution. Quantum physics agrees. A system must lose stability before it can reorganize into a higher order. Translation. Your life has to fall apart before it can fall into place. The old ego is built from conditioned responses, outdated defenses, childhood wounds, and emotional duct tape. It's not going to volunteer to leave. It loves being in charge. So what does the universe do? It stops negotiating. Jobs collapse, relationships break, identities crack, purposes evaporate. Your nervous system screams, your mind spirals. And somewhere in the middle of that existential tantrum, a quiet truth emerges. The old you is dying. And frankly, it had plenty of time to retire. The science of ego collapse. Neuroscience calls it disintegration. The process where old neural pathways lose their dominance and new ones begin forming. It feels like chaos. It is chaos. The brain hates change. It likes its misery familiar and its comfort predictable. So when you introduce new patterns, boundaries, goals, discipline, truth, the brain responds like, "How dare you evolve? This wasn't in the contract." But new neural structures cannot grow until the old ones destabilize. This is why transformation feels like losing yourself. You're not losing yourself. You're losing your programming. And programming screams when threatened. The spiritual dimension of the breakdown. Jung called this process individuation. But let's translate it in modern terms. It's the moment your soul decides it's done tolerating your nonsense. Done with your excuses. Done with your sabotage. Done with the life you pretend you want. Your soul starts dismantling every identity that wasn't built from truth. Friendships shift, roles dissolve, dreams mutate. Your desires start reorganizing from the inside out. It feels like betrayal, but it's not betrayal. It's rescue. The monster you must face. Every myth describes the same archetype. The hero enters the underworld, confronts the monster, and emerges reborn. Let's be honest. The monster is not fear. The monster is the version of you that refuses accountability. That part of you that says, "Not today. I'm tired. I'm scared. It's too much. I don't want to change yet." That is the dragon guarding your evolution. And every time you give in, you hand it another year of your life. The darkest humor of the universe. Here's the cosmic joke. The universe will keep sending you the same challenge until you finally break open. Argue with this if you want. But the universe does not care about your comfort. It cares about your expansion. Your ego cries, your soul shrugs, growth proceeds. Directive: let something die today. Pick one thing the old self needs to lose. A belief, a fear, a habit, a role, a person, a coping mechanism, a lie you tell yourself, a comfort that poisons you, and don't do it gently. Ego death requires force, a ritual of release. This identity no longer belongs to me. Say it out loud, mean it, feel the fracture. Invitation: stand in the ashes without rushing to rebuild. This is the hardest part. Do not run back to your old identity. Do not cling to the familiar. Do not rebuild prematurely. Let the ashes sit. Let the silence teach you. Let the emptiness cleanse you. Because in that quiet void, something extraordinary appears. The self that was hiding underneath. And when it rises, you will not mistake it for the ego. Chapter 3: Forced Evolution. The war between who you are and who you refuse to be. Let's be brutally honest for once. No one evolves because they feel inspired. People evolve because life corners them, the soul threatens mutiny, and the universe whispers, "Move, or I'll move you." Evolution is not the reward. It's the consequence. And in this chapter, we enter the phase Jung politely avoided calling what it truly is: a psychological street fight between the self you're becoming and the self clinging to your ankles, screaming, "Don't leave me, we hate growth." Welcome to forced evolution. The principle: will over emotion. Quantum biology teaches that systems change only through coherent intention, meaning your inner state must become stronger than your old automatic reactions. In simple language, your will must bully your feelings. Motivation is optional. Discipline is not. The old self lives in your biology, your dopamine, your cortisol, your neural pathways. Your body will beg you to stay the same. It will whine, negotiate, bargain. And your job? To act anyway. Because will is the soul's version of gravity. It pulls you toward who you could be, even when the old self begs for mercy. The science of changing your own brain. You want the neuroscience? Here it is, unfiltered. When you repeat a new behavior, you are literally forcing neurons to fire in new patterns. Do it twice, the brain ignores you. Do it 20 times, the brain sighs. Do it 100 times. The brain says, "Fine, I surrender. This is who we are now." This is called neuroplasticity, but let's call it what it really feels like. Mental renovation with no anesthesia. Your brain resists because it prefers repeating what almost ruins you over learning something that could save you. But every act of discipline rewires the system. Every refusal to repeat an old pattern weakens the shadow's control. That is forced evolution, the biology of becoming someone else on purpose. Spiritual translation. The universe helps those who help themselves, but not gently. Hermetic wisdom teaches, as above, so below. As within, so without. Meaning, if your inner world is chaotic, your outer world will reflect it. If your inner world becomes disciplined, aligned, coherent, your outer world reorganizes to match. This is why you cannot fake evolution. You cannot pray your way out of habits you refuse to change. You cannot manifest a new life in the same old identity. The universe responds to action, not intention. To coherence, not fantasies. To alignment, not excuses. You want transformation? Do something difficult, daily, without applause, without energy, without the emotional fireworks. That's how the universe knows you're serious. The shadow's last stand. When you start changing, the old self panics. It starts screaming, "Oh no, growth, abort mission." You're tired, rest forever. You deserve comfort, eternal comfort. Let's not become impressive. It sounds exhausting. The shadow will weaponize laziness, fear, intuition, and even self-care to drag you back into the familiar cycle. Because the shadow has one job: keep you predictable. Predictable is safe. Safe is stagnant. Stagnant is death disguised as stability. Every time you override that voice, you starve it. Every time you obey it, you feed it. It's really that simple. The dark humor of self-improvement. People romanticize change. They imagine awakening looks like glowing, meditating, levitating. No. It looks like crying at 2 a.m. It looks like forcing yourself out of bed when your soul feels like soup. It looks like telling your comfort zone, "Shut up, we're busy." Growth is embarrassing. It's uncomfortable. It's chaotic. But it's real. Directive. Do one thing you hate today. Yes, hate. Because the old self hates anything that threatens its existence. Pick something. A habit you avoid, a conversation you fear, a task you delay, a boundary you never enforce. Do it, not perfectly, not gracefully. Just do it. Evolution begins with one rebellious act against your own excuses. Invitation. Let today be your first act of alignment. Sit quietly tonight. Place a hand on your heart. Ask yourself, what would the next version of me do? And then, honor that answer, even if it terrifies you. Because forced evolution is not punishment. It is initiation. It is the universe sculpting you. It is your soul dragging your body into the future. It is the moment you stop waiting for change and start becoming the force that creates it. And when you meet that future version of yourself, you'll realize the pain was worth it. Chapter 4. The Necessary Betrayal. When the new self kills the old one. Let's not sugarcoat this. Transformation is violent, not outwardly, but internally. It is the moment the new self rises and says to the old self, "Thank you for your service. Now get out of my way." This is betrayal, not emotional betrayal, existential betrayal. A dismantling of the identity that kept you alive, but can no longer help you live. Most people never evolve because they refuse to betray who they used to be. But if you want rebirth, the old version of you must die screaming. The principle: you cannot serve two selves. Quantum theory teaches that a system cannot exist in two states once observed. The wave collapses. Choice collapses the field. Likewise, you cannot remain the old self and become the new one simultaneously. Hermetic wisdom calls this the principle of polarity. Two opposing identities cannot coexist. One must dominate, one must dissolve. And so, betrayal becomes a sacred requirement. You must betray your old beliefs, your old roles, your old habits, your old coping mechanisms, your old version of who I am. If you don't betray the old self, you will inevitably betray your future. And that betrayal hurts far more. The old self will guilt-trip you like a toxic ex. When you change, the old identity becomes dramatic, manipulative, sentimental. It whispers, "You're abandoning who you really are. You're becoming selfish. People won't love you anymore." You're losing your spark. You're changing too fast. Of course you're changing too fast. You're supposed to. Stagnation is the slowest form of death. The old self hates momentum. It hates evolution. It hates the idea that you might become someone who no longer needs it. So it throws tantrums. It weaponizes nostalgia. It begs you to stay small. But listen closely. That voice is not you. It is the ghost of the person you outgrew. The science of identity death. Psychologists call this ego disidentification. The moment you realize the you you've been defending was just a survival strategy with a name tag. Neuroscience confirms that identity is nothing more than reinforced neural patterns, meaning your personality is programmable, your identity is hackable, your self is a habit. So when you betray the old self, you are not betraying your soul. You are betraying a neurological pattern that mistook itself for your soul. And that is liberation disguised as heartbreak. The spiritual truth. Loyalty to the soul requires disloyalty to the ego. Hermetic wisdom states, nothing rests, everything moves, everything changes. Yet the ego insists, no, let's stay exactly the same forever. To align with your higher self, you must violate the demands of your lower self. The soul whispers, grow. The ego screams, don't you dare. That tension is the battlefield of becoming. You are not required to be loyal to the version of you that came from fear. You are required to be loyal to the version of you that comes from truth. Dark humor. Break. Your old self won't go quietly. Expect ridiculous sabotage. Expect emotional drama. Expect thoughts like, I miss suffering. Suffering was comfortable. Maybe I am the problem. Let's return to my natural habitat. Chaos. Surely enlightenment can wait until next Monday. This is normal. Evolution is hilarious in its cruelty. The old self tries everything except letting you grow in peace. Betrayal in real life. When people around you panic, when you change, others will react. Because your transformation threatens their stability. People will say, you're different. You're acting strange. You're not the person I knew. They're right. You're not. And that's the point. The version of you they miss was the version that made them comfortable, not you awakened. Some relationships will fade, some will collapse, some will attack the new you. This is natural. Every metamorphosis requires the shedding of an ecosystem. The shadow reinterpreted. The old self is not evil, just done. The part you are betraying was once your protector, your survival armor, your emotional shield. But armor becomes a prison when the war ends. You are not abandoning that old self out of hate. You are releasing it with gratitude, because keeping it alive would be cruelty. Directive. Identify one thing you must betray today. A belief, a tendency, a habit, a person, a version of yourself. Ask, what must die in me so that something greater can live? Write it, name it, tell it goodbye, even if your hands shake. Invitation. Step through the inner funeral. Sit with this truth. You cannot be reborn if you refuse to die. Let the old self collapse. Let the mask dissolve. Let the persona shatter. You are not losing yourself. You are excavating yourself. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But to claim that privilege, you must betray the versions of yourself that were never truly you. This is not cruelty. This is awakening. Chapter 5. Maturity is war. And the war never ends. Let's bury the fairy tale. Maturity isn't a peaceful sunrise. It isn't clarity descending like a blessing. It is the storm itself, and you learning to walk inside it without shaking. Because the truth is simple and rude. The old self never dies. It only retreats, quietly sharpening its knives. Every morning it whispers, "Let's go back to the easy way." It waits for you to slip, and it has nothing but time. This is why maturity is war. Not violence against yourself, but vigilance, awareness, daily refusal. The principle: the psyche always returns to its lowest state. In quantum physics, systems fall back to their default unless energy is applied. Humans obey the same rule. Your unconscious drags you back toward familiarity. Hermetic rhythm explains it. Everything swings, rises, falls. Growth isn't linear. You ascend, you regress. Stop paying attention for a moment, and gravity, your old self, pulls you back. The most dangerous moment is after you change. Transformation fools people. They think the breakthrough is the victory. Wrong. The hardest part is staying transformed. The universe will always test your new shape. Great. Show me you can hold it. That's why habits collapse, why spiritual awakenings fade, why people return to the exact chaos they escaped. Awakening is just a door. Maturity is choosing to walk through it again and again. The enemy: habitual gravity. Your brain has decades of pathways built for survival, not evolution. Comfort, avoidance, coping. Those roads are highways. Your new identity? A dirt trail you must carve daily. Stop paying attention and you slide right back. Psychologists call it regression. Hermeticists call it misalignment. Quantum theorists call it pattern dominance. Call it whatever you like. It wins if you stop fighting. Dark humor break. The old self is petty. Imagine your old identity as a bitter roommate who refuses to move out. Leaves notes like, "Let's skip today." Who do you think you are? It loves procrastination, cries when denied sugar, and throws tantrums if you dare act like a disciplined adult. And the moment you think you're cured, it drop kicks you back into old habits. Discipline is a spiritual practice. Jung taught that maturity is the ability to hold contradictions without collapsing. Life pulls you off your path. Your body resists effort. Your emotions mislead you. Your environment distracts you. Motivation won't save you. Inspiration won't save you. Discipline will. Discipline is the soul taking the wheel while the ego sulks in the back seat. Every disciplined act whispers to the universe, "I choose evolution." And the universe responds with more tests, not punishment, but reinforcement. You are forged, not born. Alchemy says metal becomes gold only through repeated heat and pressure. Humans too. Conflict is not failure. Conflict is formation. If you feel torn, overwhelmed, conflicted, congratulations. You're in the forge. Everyone is at war. A mother drowning in responsibilities. A man trapped in a career he's outgrown. A student terrified of adulthood. A creator scared to publish real work. A person ending a relationship their soul has surpassed. Different stories. Same battlefield. The real battle. Small, daily, honest acts. The war is won through tiny victories. Doing what must be done, resisting old impulses, choosing truth over comfort. Keeping promises no one sees, refusing to negotiate with your weaker self. Maturity isn't a mood, it's maintenance. The daily standard. Each morning ask, what one action today would make me respect myself more? Do that first. During the day ask, does this feed the person I'm becoming or the person I've outgrown? At night, what I upheld, where I slipped, what I correct tomorrow, not judgment. Calibration. Invitation. Welcome to the war. If you feel tired or conflicted, don't mistake it for failure. You're not collapsing, you're expanding. You're not regressing, you're resisting gravity. You're not losing, you're learning to fight with grace. Maturity is war fought in silence, in disciplines no one praises. But hold your ground, and one day you'll understand Jung's words. The greatest problems in life cannot be solved, only outgrown. And you will know you have finally outgrown the version of you who created them.